Welcome back to Analytical Media. We are a consortium, a group of therapists, college professors, and well-published peer-reviewed authors. You can find our book on the subject of psychopathy, entitled Descent into Darkness, at Amazon.com. The book analyzes the murder of Travis Alexander by Jodi Ann Arias, looking at the crime, the murder, every step, every process, the entire trial. It's a big, thick book from the perspective of psychopathy. If you're into true crime, I think you will find that book to be very refreshing. A deep analysis, what you'd like to think about. Psychopathy explains it all. A deep look. I'm sure it's something, if you like true crime, you like psychology, you like to think about the criminal mind, what drives crime, what causes people to murder, why people do what they do, this really is a good book. It's used in some graduate programs, it's used in some undergraduate programs. By all means, check it out. If you can't buy it, and it's inexpensive, it's available in paperback and Kindle. If you can't afford to buy it, try to get your librarian to get a copy, or maybe she already has one. Okay, today's question. Is it slander if you call someone a sovereign citizen? What is all the fuss about? Didn't they make up that name? And the answer is yes, they did. They made up the name. In our educated professional opinion, that of Analytical Media, it is not slanderous at all to call someone a sovereign citizen. It could be incorrect, and the question is, what makes someone a sovereign citizen? It is behaving like a sovereign citizen that makes one a sovereign citizen. If it walks like a duck and talks like a duck, or perhaps you'd rather say quacks like a duck, and I could understand why you would rather say that. So if it walks like a duck, quacks like a duck, looks like a duck, behaves like a duck, it is a duck. And it would not be slanderous to call someone what they are. And in the 80s, when people with sovereign citizen-like beliefs, the government's illegitimate, the government's a corporation, everything in a country is illegitimate, you don't have to listen to the police, you don't have to pay taxes, you don't have to follow speed limits, which are all very convenient to one, isn't it? I mean, how popular would sovereign citizen members, believers be if one of the beliefs of sovereign citizens was you had to pay double the tax? Get the tax information, and when the program analyzes it and says you owe $1,200 this year in taxes, you have to double it. If that was the case, you wouldn't have any sovereign citizen believers. Everything that sovereign citizens believe in is really good for the people that believe in it. No taxes. You don't have to listen to the cops. You don't have to buy insurance on your car. You don't have to get a driver's license. You don't have to register your car. Pretty convenient. No taxes. No cop can come to your house. You don't have to listen to anybody. They can't pull you over. You don't have to get a permit to carry a concealed weapon. Very convenient. But when this was started in the 80s and was so beneficial sounding, really it wasn't beneficial at all, because everything that they promoted was a lie. Nothing ever stood up in court. Every sovereign citizen was required to pay taxes or go to jail, have their property seized. Many of them went to jail because much of what they promoted was a scam. It was fraud. They made up the term in the 80s. They liked the term in the 80s. And we at Analytical Media completely concur that anyone expressing those ideas is a sovereign citizen. However, what I think and you think and we think in Analytical Media is not really important, because we are not the determiners of laws. The determiners of laws, the judges, It's part of the legal system. What do they have to say about this? And today I have 4 opinions from judges on this subject. All of them concur, but I will give you information, things you can look up yourself. And as I point out, it doesn't matter what we think at Analytical Media or you think at home. It matters what the law is. Before we get into that, I'd like to read you something entitled Rebuttal to Sovereign Citizen Slander. To those who reflexively use the term sovereign citizen as a smear, understand this: there is no such illegal or lawful classification. That's true, which is one reason why it is not a smear or slander. It's not legally determined or lawfully classified. It is the common usage of citizens, law enforcement officers, and the court system that has latched on to the name sovereign citizens, the name they themselves made up and they themselves gleefully identified as to law enforcement, as to the courts. You can look it up and see. They were proud of the term sovereign citizens. Go back and watch videos from 10 years ago. You will see they gladly identify themselves as sovereign citizens. They say, I'm a sovereign citizen. And then people began to make fun of sovereign citizens because it is an oxymoron. It says in this rebuttal to sovereign citizen slander, the phrase itself is an oxymoron. It is an oxymoron. It contradicts itself. A king, you can be a sovereign king because you're sovereign. You make up all the rules. You make up all the laws. But you can't be a sovereign citizen because a citizen follows the laws of the country or the king. You can only be a sovereign king. You can't be a sovereign citizen. But at the time, they were just too dumb to know that. And they gleefully, happily ran around telling people, hey, I'm a sovereign citizen. You can't stop me. Cop would stop him. You can't stop me. I'm a sovereign citizen. I don't follow your rules. They said it. They made it up. They spread it. They were proud to call themselves sovereign citizens. Lately, maybe in the last 3 years, they've decided they don't like it. Why? Because cops, the American public, make fun of sovereign citizens. They make fun of them. They laugh at sovereign citizens. Sovereign citizens are the biggest losers. They lose every case. No sovereign citizen argument. Write it down, think about it. Maybe put the tattoo somewhere on your body. No sovereign citizen has ever won a case based on sovereign citizen arguments. None. Not one. They can say, well, we went to court and the judge dismissed the case. Yeah, because he didn't want to try it. They dropped the charges because this is a waste of time. You're an annoyance and we have bigger fish to fry. But every time a case has been tried, they've won. The government has won. Sovereign citizens have never won a case. And no sovereign citizen argument has ever been agreed with in any court. And this rebuttal here, it says, it is not a designation chosen by informed Americans who stand in defense of constitutional rights. Let's stop right there. You're not informed unless you're a constitutional attorney, which there are very few in the country. Very few. They're the people that argue the cases in front of the Supreme Court. You are not informed. Unless you are a constitutional attorney, you are not informed. You need to be in front of the Supreme Court. You need to be a constitutional attorney because that's the only way you will be informed enough to argue your case. It's the truth. Ask any attorney. So it is a designation chosen by informed Americans. who stand in defense of the Constitution. They claim it is not a designation, the name. It's not, but it is a designation chosen by informed Americans who stand in defense of constitutional rights, because it clearly says in the Constitution, if you think this is unconstitutional, go to court. You lose there, go to an appellate court, appeal it, and then go to a higher appellate court, and eventually to the Supreme Court, where they will tell you if you are right or wrong. It doesn't matter a damn what your opinion is. It only matters what the Supreme Court justices, what their opinion is. So this is all nonsense. This rebuttal to sovereign citizen slander, it's insanity. As sovereign citizen ideology is insanity. How can you support something that always loses in court, has never won once? How can you believe something where the citizens of the United States have sent so-called sovereign citizens to prisons for dozens of years for crimes? You can't. It's a lie. Sovereign citizens rely upon uninformed Americans, not informed Americans. And they do not rely on Americans who defend the Constitution, because I'm telling you, look it up, check it out. Absolutely, anyone who supports the Constitution of the United States of America, if you're a patriot of any kind, a real patriot, not some flag-waving, nonsensical fool, but if you are a real American, you defend the country, it means you're willing to die for it. You're willing to go to Iraq or Afghanistan or wherever to defend the United States. That's the Constitution. You're defending it. There is no United States without the Constitution. And if you say, hey, I don't believe in the Constitution, it's wrong. It is not wrong. It's the Constitution. It's the same Constitution that millions of Americans died for in World War II. Millions. And what do sovereign citizens say? If they were around during the World War II, they would have said, I'm not dying to defend some constitution or the country, because it's not a country, it's a corporation. I almost slipped into a little bit of profanity there, but I didn't. So the point is, this is all ridiculous. They want you to be dumb. You gotta be dumb to send money to somebody to buy a license plate, a fake one, to buy information telling you how to get out of any traffic ticket. You gotta be dumb, dumber than dumb, whatever's beneath dumb, to send money to people where nothing has ever worked. Look it up, check it out, check the records. We do, by the way. We check the court records all the time. It's part of our job as academics. Check the video information that's available, all of the courts that are dealing with sovereign citizens. Show me one, find one where one ever won the case. No, it's sovereign citizens are fools. Somebody wants your money. If you can't find a case, you were cheated. Somebody cheated you. They swore to you it worked. Watch the videos on YouTube. Tell me how many times it works. It doesn't. And then they say, the rebuttal says, the phrase itself is an oxymoron and a product of disinformation campaigns meant to delegitimize lawful civil engagement and resistance to government overreach. There's nothing lawful about it. You go to jail for it every time. Look at the videos on YouTube. It's lawful. They arrest you, put you in handcuffs. And what do you say when they put you in handcuffs? I mean, to me, this is hilarious, right? They put somebody in handcuffs and they say, they probably had to pull them out, throw them on the ground, handcuff them. And then what do they say? Are you serious? There they are being handcuffed by one or two cops. Are you serious? Are you serious? What the hell do you think? How serious is it when a cop knocks on your window? Remember, forget all your arguments. You might have been, I want you to think about this, all you good people, non-sovereign citizens, good people, people that support law enforcement. We don't support overreach. We don't support law enforcement brutality of any kind, but we support law enforcement. Any legitimate action that they need to do their job, we support them. We come in and help them. That's a real patriot. It's a real citizen. And when someone says that the term is a product of disinformation, a campaign's meant to delegitimize lawful civic engagement and resistance to government overreach, there is no such thing. There is no lawful civic engagement and resistance to government overreach. What you're calling lawful civic engagement is actually something that ends up getting them arrested because it's unlawful civic engagement. There is no lawful civic engagement. If it's lawful, you're following the law. Get it? Show me in a law where you can not follow the law in civil, civic engagement and resistance to government overreach, right? If it's lawful, there is no civic engagement except following the law. Lawful. This action is full of the law. That's all determined by the government, which is based on the Constitution and all the laws that came from that have been legitimized by the Supreme Court, written by the legislators and judged and legitimized by the judicial system. So it's nonsensical. A product of disinformation campaigns meant to delegitimize lawful civil engagement and resistance to government overreach. If it's lawful, that's it. Go to court, you'll win. If it's not lawful, you will never win. So we can't legitimize lawful civil engagement. That's the only thing there is. However, what they're engaging in really is something that does exist: civil disobedience to the law. Civil disobedience. And that might be a march where you're supposed to stand on a sidewalk, and if you get on the street, you get arrested. Well, that's okay if you get arrested, because we know going in you're going to get arrested. That's civil disobedience. Say, well, we know we got to stay on the sidewalk, but for more impact, to make this bigger, we're going to go ahead and march in the street, which is going to cause us to get arrested because it's unlawful. You pay the price. There's nothing contradictory about this. There's a price for civil disobedience. You may spend a night in jail. You might spend 2 or 3 days in jail. You might have a court record that follows you around forever. But it's the price you're willing to pay for what you consider to be a law that is unlawful. But there is no way in the world that someone who's engaged in civil disobedience has ever said, you know what, that was lawful. I engaged in lawful disobedience to the law. You see the contradiction in terms? People who engage in civil disobedience know they are breaking a law and they will pay for it. If they get arrested, they're going to pay for it. Might get fined, might stay in jail. As I said, the rest of this is a joke. And then they say it is not a designation chosen by informed Americans, who they claim they are, who stand in defense of constitutional rights. Show me where any civil disobedience is lawful. Show me where you can break a law you don't like and that's lawful. That's a contradiction in terms as stupid as calling yourself sovereign citizens. It says instead, people who call them sovereign citizens, they give that label by people who fear their constitutional rights. Hell no. You follow the law. If you're a lawful person, everything works. You have a way to change the law if you want. You vote for somebody else who goes to the legislature and changes the law. You appeal it in court and up and up and up to the Supreme Court. They'll tell you, yes, you're right, Joe, or they'll tell you, go home and sit down because you're wrong. Okay, let me get into what judges have to say about this. So we know that sovereign citizens don't like it anymore because they've been seen through this stupid argument that they put forward, stupid beyond comprehension. Can you believe it? Show me a video where a guy gets arrested with sovereign citizen attitudes and beliefs, goes to court, and the judge says, thank God you came in here. Nobody brought it up before. Case dismissed, you're absolutely right. No, it's just the opposite every time. Every time. They're reprimanded for wasting the court's time. Before you believe it, before you send money in, before you spread these untruths, get some evidence that you're right. So let's look at, not my opinion, not yours, not Analytical Media's. Let's look what the judges say, the court systems say. Now we're answering the question, is it slander if you call someone a sovereign citizen? No, it's not slander. Is it slander if you call a duck a duck? Now maybe a dog could sue you in court if you called him a cat, but you're never going to get sued by a cat for calling him a cat. And you're never going to get sued by a sovereign citizen for calling them a sovereign citizen because you can't sue someone for telling the truth. Now, there is no standard, there's no government standard, there's no DNA test to determine if you are or aren't a sovereign citizen. There's no test. There's no standard set by the government. There is just general usage, common usage. Words come in to mean something over time. It wasn't long ago, 100 years ago or so, that the word gay meant happy 100%, never meant anything more than happy. It was a gay party. Gay. 100 years ago, 125 years ago, and going back a couple of hundred years, always meant that. However, in common usage, the word gay changed from meaning a happy party. It meant homosexual. And now we accept the common usage. When they say now it was a gay party, you don't think it was lots of fun and happy. You think homosexual. The word changed. Lots of words change. And the change comes not by the government, not by a DNA test, not by some group of librarians. The change comes from common usage. It's what people use. Words come and go. I don't know if it's okay anymore to say somebody's cool, or are you, because cool used to mean in itself always cool. However, if you use the word cool now, is that uncool by today's standards? If you use the word cool from the 1950s or 60s, today, are you actually saying you're not cool? No, because no cool person will use the word cool. It's common usage. That's it. And common usage for sovereign citizens is the only standard there is. We use it. Law enforcement uses it. Judges use it. It's anyone who displays sovereign citizen attitudes, ideas, and behavior. No matter what you want to call it, it's still sovereign citizen. You want to call it an American state national, the courts are going to call you sovereign citizens. It's funny, you watch videos. I find this to be amusing, perhaps you will too, A cop will go up to a car, no license plate, fake license plate, whatever. He stops the guy. Guy rolls his window down a little wee bit, and the guy says, well, he said, can I have your license? What about those fake plates? And the guy says, well, I don't need it. I'm not driving. I'm traveling. And he says a few more things. I don't need a license. I don't need license plates because you only need those if you're in commerce and all that made up nonsensical stuff. And the guy says, are you a sovereign citizen? And the guy in the car says, no, I'm not me. No, I'm not a sovereign citizen. And then the cop says, okay, would you just wait here? I'll be back in a minute. He walks back to the car, picks up the radio, calls the police on the radio, the station, and he says, hey, I'm at such and such, I'm at the stop, send out another car. It's a sovereign citizen. Because that's what cops call people who talk like a duck, walk like a duck, and swim like a duck. They call them ducks. So it's over and over. You can see it over and over again. It's right away. You got a sovereign citizen here. Guy just said, I'm not a sovereign. Why would you call me a sovereign citizen? That's slander. In he goes. Courts, same thing in the courts. Now we're going to read what they say in court right now. Okay, this is Bossert versus County of King 2:25 CV00975 JNW. That's in 2025 U.S. District Court. It's in Washington, November 14th, 2025. Alice Bossart and Raymond Berry were in the courtroom clutching a thick motion for sanctions. They're sanctioning the court. The original lawsuit against King County had already been dismissed. They were suing King County earlier, but they were back again armed with accusations that the county's lawyers had defamed them in court. And what was the grievance? What was the defamation? One line in the county's belief. Plaintiffs advance arguments typical of sovereign citizen. Bossart whispered to Berry, that's libel. They can't just brand us. U.S. District Judge Jamal N. Whitehead opened the hearing with a calm but firm voice. And here's what he had to say, quote, let me be clear. The county did not call you sovereign citizens to harass you. They cited it because your legal theories, challenging the court's inherent authority, filing in pro per with all cap names, are the same theories sovereign citizens have advanced for decades. And every federal court in the Ninth Circuit has rejected them. This is legal argument, not defamation. Bossart started to interrupt. The judge raised a hand. This case is closed. Go home. That's the success sovereign citizens have. Second case in the Eastern District of North Carolina, Greenville, November 15th, 2025. William Hercules Davis Jr. paced outside the federal courthouse. He had a copy of a notarized estoppel judgment. He had submitted it twice to the clerk. Chief U.S. District Judge Richard E. Meyer II reviewed a magistrate's report that called Davis's 30-page complaint rambling, this is a quote, rambling and delusional. Davis had sued state officials for arresting him when he didn't have a driver's license. His core claim was, quote, as a competent sui juris sovereign man, I may egress and ingress through the state at will. Magistrate Judge Robert B. Jones wrote, these are, quote, these are sovereign citizen arguments and they are frivolous, end quote. Davis objected in writing, I am not, in all capital letters, a sovereign citizen. That label is false and prejudicial. Judge Myers, in a terse order issued at 9:00 a.m., responded, quote, you say you're not a sovereign citizen. but you claim the state has no authority to require a driver's license because of your, quote, sovereign status. That is the sovereign citizen playbook. You cite no law, binding or otherwise, to support it. Objection overruled. Case dismissed. Case 3, Middle District of Pennsylvania, Scranton, November 15th, 2025. Whaley versus Pennsylvania, case number 4:25-CV-01007-JMW. That's November 15th, 2025. George Henry Whaley Jr. is in court. He brings a folder entitled George Henry Whaley Jr. Private Express Trust, bin number 9861000902. He had filed a notice of removal to yank his state traffic case, a suspended license, and an altered VIN number to court. He wanted an emergency injunction. He wanted discovery from a state judge. He wanted the charges erased. U.S. District Judge James M. Munley responded, "You say that the magistrate mislabeled your filing, but you claim the state can't regulate you because your surrendered license now belongs to the state, and you now operate as a private trust. That's not a legal argument. It's a slogan courts have rejected for 30 years. Removal improper. Case dismissed." Whaley left the courthouse muttering about, quote, admiralty jurisdiction, end quote. Case 4, Western District of Kentucky, Paducah, November 14th, 2025. Natasha Harris Johnson had fired her lawyer. She had filed 3 pro se motions to dismiss an indictment for faking tax refunds and wire fraud. Her first motion was this, quote, "The grand jury in Kentucky has no power over an American Arkansas national who has not consented to jurisdiction." That's another big thing with sovereign citizens, isn't it? They argue, "I don't consent." All the time, "I don't consent, I don't consent." You know, when the cop goes to arrest them, putting the handcuffs on, "I don't consent to this arrest." It just hasn't occurred to them that the cops could arrest you without consenting. You can be on your way home to see your son who's arriving back from Iraq this evening to a big dinner. You can't wait to see him. You haven't seen him in more than a year. Plus you have to go to the bathroom. There's no doubt about it. You've been holding it too long. You got to get home. And the cop lights are in your rear view mirror. They stop you. I don't know for what reason, but they stop you. When the cop comes up to the window and you roll your window down and he asks you some question, your response cannot be, "Look, I'd like to participate in this, but I got to get home. My son's coming back from Iraq or Afghanistan or whatever spot that America's fighting in now." And the cop says what? The cop says, "Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to bother you." No. The cop says, "I want your driver's license, your registration, and your insurance information." And then you say, "Hey, look, bud, I got to get home. I'm telling you, I don't have time for this. I'm going home. I got to have time. And I have no time. So I'm Lee. I'm sorry I can't help you, but I got to go." And the cop says what? Says, "No, you're not leaving this spot. And if you don't cooperate, I'm going to arrest you. You're not going to see your son for a few weeks, or at least until the judge is in tomorrow for bail." That's what I'm trying to say to you. It's all true. Your son is coming home. You haven't seen him in a week. You really have to go to the bathroom. You could try that too. It doesn't work. "Hey, I'm telling you, I got to go to the bathroom. Or there's going to be a mess in his car or a mess in that cop car." It doesn't matter. And that's what I'm trying to tell you. That guy's got a gun. He's got all the right in the world to do what he's doing. If you jump on the gas and you get out of there and he knocks you off the road and you die or you get shot or however it goes, that's on you. You don't have that right. So what I'm trying to tell you is the cop's got all the rights. He's got the gun. He's got the full force of the law behind him. He's got the entire history of American law and the Constitution behind him. He's the only one in the world who can legally interrupt you from going home to see your son or going home to go to the bathroom. He's the only one. He has power, undeniable power. And you shouldn't feel bad about that because that's how it was set up by the American government, the U.S. Constitution, and that's what the real patriots wanted, a fair legal system. And a real patriot like George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, Patrick Henry, all of them would have helped the cop. They would never have resented it. Honestly, they would have helped the cop. How can I help you? Help you investigate me. Help you get through this procedure you're going through. What can I do? So, remember that, everybody. Cop does have that power. And we the people, gave him that power. That's the Constitution. That's the law. And sovereign citizens are just wrong. Just wrong about everything. So she also says, I want to get back to the story here, the government violated my due process by calling me a sovereign citizen in their brief, and that's bias. And here's what U.S. District Judge Benjamin Beaton read from the bench. Beaton, B-E-A-T-O-N. It's a quote. Ms. Johnson, you can say the label sovereign citizen is defamatory. But let's be honest. You chose this script. You claim the indictment names a trademarked corporate entity, not a flesh and blood person. You say the U.S. needs a, quote, contract to prosecute you. These are textbook sovereign citizen arguments, coined by the movement's own founders in the 1980s. Your motions are denied. And at trial, no sovereign citizen arguments, no jury nullification, no tax to fire nonsense. If you try, I'll cut you off under Rule 403. The jury will hear evidence, not ideology, end quote. This is Analytical Media. We hope you have found this to be educational, maybe enlightening a little bit, food for thought. If so, we've succeeded. Like the video, subscribe. This will help us reach more people. Subscribe. You will be notified when we post our next video. Hopefully we'll see you at that video. Until then, we wish you the best of luck. We hope all has gone well with you and your family. And we'll see you then. Take care.